Another player's coming through the door. Do you remember when people thought we were having a quiet start to the window? It's really picked up. Cristhian Mosquera is now the 6th player that we understand is going to be an Arsenal player. Of course, when we talk about Fabrizio Romano giving it the here we go, the stamp of approval, which means everything's going to happen, he's actually done that for Mosquera before Gyökeres. But in terms of understanding how and when we were going to sign a player, this is the latest to come in. I think our 6th signing behind Kepa. Okay, so what was the order? Zubimendi, Kepa, Norgard, Madueke, Gyökeres, Mosquera. And I'm excited about this one, guys. Sorry, but by the way, if you can hear some traffic on by the window, because London decided to become Marbella for a couple of weeks. The thing with this Mosquera deal is we have to acknowledge how Arsenal have been incredibly smart here in identifying Tomiyasu's situation with his injury. I think with everyone fully fit and available, Mosquera wasn't a needed signing. With Tomiyasu having his surgery, having missed all but 20 minutes of football last season, Arsenal need to address his position. You know how they've done it? By going and getting a 21-year-old Spanish, young defender with a lot of hype around him. With 1 year left on his deal, Arsenal negotiated Valencia to around a £15 million fee. Guys, I know in the world of football, millions are millions, right? In the world of football, that is not a lot of money. And we're getting one of the most highly rated young centre-backs who stands at 6'3", 6'4". Talked about him with Ben Matson on the podcast, so go check out the Transfers Explained podcast on the main Goonerverse channel. But yeah, this is an exciting young centre-back who is going to understand he's behind William Saliba in the pecking order. But is there a world in which Arsenal can go into games next season playing Mosquera and Gabriel together? Now, to be fair, maybe they're too stylistically matched, but cup games with Kivior and Mosquera, could you play Saliba and Mosquera and do something different with the dynamics of the back four? The point is, you've got really good young cover there, and I think it's Arsenal preparing for the future, partly. I mean, Saliba, I'm pretty convinced will end up a Real Madrid player in the next 2 years, at least. So I do think, or should I say at most, I do think that move is coming for him. But, Arsenal are future-proofing with one of, like I said, the most exciting young defenders in European football right now. Well, certainly that's how people talk about him. And yes, have I watched hours and hours of Mosquera? No. Have I researched the player, watched comps since we've been linked and everything? Sure. But I think what's always telling is, did you know about this player before the links? Yes, I did. And why did I really know much about a 20-year-old? Because of course he only just turned 21. Why would I have known much about a 20-year-old Valencia centre-back? Well, because of the hype, because he was being talked about, because everyone was excited about this young player. I remember lots of people, Ben Mattinson, Rimady as well, on Twitter, a lot of people would talk about this player, the young potential he had, and Arsenal have gone and got him. Now, let's remind ourselves then of what the squad looks like from back to front, right? We've got Raya with Kepa as our backup and a 19-year-old or maybe 20-year-old in Setford as well. You've got Timber and White as your right backs. You've got Saliba and Mosquera as your centre backs. You've got Gabriel and Kivior as your left centre backs with Lewis-Skelly and Calafiori. And we still have Zinchenko in the squad. I think Zinchenko will go. But that's a really, really good set of options. I think people's opinion on Kivior has changed massively since the Real Madrid ties. And now if he does go, are we in a position to go do a Jaro Hato deal or something? I'd imagine, or Calafiori moves to centre-back, or we keep Zinchenko, get another left-back. So the options look really good. I'm really, really comfortable with the options we have in defence. And we talked on a load of videos about the midfield and attack going forward. So we'll leave that for now. But in terms of the back four, I feel really comfortable about it. Yes, the likes of White and Timber have had injury problems before. But they have been sort of more serious injuries that required surgery. It's not quite been like Tomiyasu, who's kind of been in and out with kind of muscular injuries and maybe tendon injuries. I don't know, a lot of different injuries. So it was important that Arsenal address that position quite significantly. And they have. They've been quite ruthless in terminating Tomiyasu's contract because Tomiyasu was starting week in, week out in the run-in in 23-24 when it looked like we might win the title. And now, as he's not fit, as there's not so long left on his contract, an agreement was reached, and now Mosquera's coming in for 15 million. I think it's really, really good business by Arsenal, not just because of the fee, but because of the, talent that we're bringing in. So just to recap for a second, okay? Kepa, 5 million release clause. That's very good value. Zubimendi, we paid the release clause of 51 million. We might even have paid a little bit over because of wanting to sort of stagger the payments better. Norgard, 11 million. I would have thought Brentford would have wanted 20 plus. Gyökeres for a base fee of 55, that could rise at best to 65. The only one in there is Madueke. We're going, how do we get to 52 million? But maybe that tells you something about how much Arteta and Berta rate him, because they've shown, like with Sesko and others, that they're not willing to be bullied on fees so much this summer. So they must really think that with Madueke, there's a talent there, and they're willing to go to those numbers more similar to Kai Havertz's one a couple of years ago that surprised us too. So I think we've got to say well done to Andrea Berta here. Now, the sales have slowed down, but what I like about that, well, I don't think we've made a sale. So did they slow down? They never really picked up. But what I like about it is it feels like Arsenal have said, we don't have to do the sales. Maybe if we need to fund a Rodrigo at some point, that becomes a different question, and the Madueke thing gets asked about. But I think it's a case of we don't have to do this. We are happy to go get our targets. And then if someone comes in for if an AC Milan or someone comes in for a Kivior or a Zinchenko, Arsenal can stand there and go, we don't need your money. We've done the business we want to do and need to do. So are you going to stump up what we believe they're worth? Zinchenko's a £20 million player. Kivior's a £20 to £30 million player. Will Arsenal demand those fees if those clubs come in, because they put themselves in a position where they've negotiated well for a lot of the squad players, getting really good fees on them, but crucially they've done a lot of their business early. So we could have, guys, Kepa, Mosquera, Norgard, Zubimendi, Madueke, and I'm holding my phone with the other hand, and Gyökeres. 6 new signings on pre-season tour. Compare that to a year ago where Rice and Saka couldn't go because of the Euros. A lot of players got there late. Calafiori arrived but couldn't train and couldn't play. And we saw a lot of youngsters. And don't get me wrong, it was fun. I mean, in another way, I enjoyed watching Arsenal from that perspective. But we're not just going out there with a fully fit squad. We're going out there with 6 brand new players who are all expected to play a big part, and we're going to get a really good look at them. And that makes it really exciting when you've got 3 games against the likes of Newcastle and AC Milan in Singapore, and then, of course, Tottenham in Hong Kong, the first ever North London derby played abroad. That all adds to the occasion, that all adds to the importance of pre-season, that all adds to the excitement of what Arsenal can do next season. If we can have a really good pre-season with these guys through the door, we're going to learn a lot. And then any extra that needs to get done, I mean, of course, I'd want Eze in there too, but let's not be too greedy. Arsenal have done some good work. If Eze takes a little bit more time, I can be patient with that, because at the moment we've added quality around the team. We've got, whether you rate him or not, we've got the £50 million winger, we've got the £60 million striker, we've got the £50 million defensive midfielder. Arsenal are spending a lot of money and they're doing it quite efficiently. So big credit to Andrea Berta, big credit to Mikel Arteta. Listen, I'm not the Kroenke's biggest fan as owners, but the funds have been there. If things go wrong, we can't say that the backing hasn't been there. You know, they made the big appointment in Berta, they made the big striker signing in Gyökeres, and we're making the big money moves this summer to try and address what went wrong last year. So I'm feeling confident about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Cristhian Mosquera is signing for Arsenal. It's another player through the door. That's player number 6. I think one more, if it's Eze, that's as good a window as I could have realistically asked for. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Catch you all in a bit.